You know, I guess there's hardly a youngster or an adult anywhere that doesn't know the name or the exploits of our next guest. His name is synonymous with excitement and courage and breathtaking stunts, and, well, he's become a legend in his own time. That's his helmet. It says Evel. And here's the man. Let's hear it for the world's greatest motorcycle daredevil, Evel Knievel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hi,
well,
kids.
It's
doing?
our pleasure. It really is. You have 3 children, don't you? How old are they?
I have a girl named Tracy, 13, and a boy, Robbie, 14, and a boy,
Right.
Kelly, 16.
Oh my goodness. Let me ask you a question. What do they think of their dad's work?
Well, the oldest boy, he would rather play golf and fish and hunt.
Is that right?
The youngest boy, he can ride a motorcycle very, very well, probably better than I can. And the little girl, she rides a little bit, but she's got basketball to play and cheerleading to do. So
Do you want your little girl to ride a motorcycle?
Well, you know, women now are kind of hard-headed, so if she wants to ride one, she's going to, so I really don't tell her what to do. She's got a little 3-wheeler, and she buzzes around all over on it.
A little 3-wheeler,
She's got a little 3-wheel trail rig she rides.
Yeah.
None of the girls in the neighborhood will ride with her, though.
Is that right? Where do you live? Where's your home?
My home is in Butte, Montana.
Right.
In the summertime.
You were raised in
Fort
Butte,
Lauderdale,
Montana, weren't you?
Yeah, I was born there.
Yeah. And you weren't born of a very wealthy family, I understand, were you?
No. My grandparents raised me, and we didn't have a lot of money. My grandfather was in the tire business. He was a very hard worker. And myself, when I grew up, the first year or so that I was married, I used to have to borrow a quarter for a glass for milk for my kids from my grandmother so that I could feed them, because I lived in a copper mining town, and when the mines were on strike and we didn't have work, then I couldn't afford food for my family.
Yeah. Is that what made you decide to go into an occupation as hazardous as yours is? Because it's you're a hero, but it's what a tough occupation you have.
Well, and that didn't make me decide to do it. I think that to become a real success at anything in life, you have to have a sincere desire to do it, not just for the money. In other words, how much would they have to pay you to jump a canyon? I mean,
how much would they have to pay? There's not enough money.
What I'm
that
saying
they'd
is
have to pay me.
If you want to do it, you can do it, and if you don't, you don't do it just for the money, because it's just not there.
Well, obviously, it's not there, and you've made enormous amounts of money on it, but is there any stunt that you're afraid to do?
No.
Since you've done every stunt conceivable?
What do you mean besides the motorcycling?
Well...
Yes, there is. Let me rephrase that.
What are you afraid of?
A lot of things. I mean, I have fear just like everybody should have fear. And there are stunts that I would be afraid to do, because I would know, being the professional I am, that I could only end up getting killed if I tried them. So I would never do it.
Yeah.
For instance, I'm not going to jump further than I have, like jumping over 15 Greyhound buses instead of 14, because I think that I've jumped far enough over the buses. I don't think...
Oh, I would say you've done a couple of jumps that are... What was your first jump? Surely you must remember that as well as your last one, I'm sure.
I could hardly forget it. I jumped 50 rattlesnakes and 2 mountain lions that were on the middle of the racetrack, right there in a big pen.
Whose idea was it?
It was mine.
Was it?
Wasn't the guy who owned the mountain lions' idea. I hit one of them.
Oh, is that right? And when was that, Evel?
That was in a little town called Moses Lake, Washington, about 15 years ago.
Yeah. You've got a couple gray hairs, which is very attractive, but did they come from jumping, or how'd you get them?
I think they probably came from jumping, yes.
Yeah, I would... May I ask you how many bones you've broken? Because I think our youngsters might be interested in that.
Probably 20 or 30. I've broken... When you play this game that I play, risking your life, being a professional at it, a daredevil, you have to pay the price for success. And the price you pay for the success of earning money at performing with a motorcycle is broken bones if you're going to do what I do. But it's no different than playing hockey. It's no different than playing football. It's no different than O.J. Simpson. It's no different than A.J. Foyt. It's no different than Bobby Hull. When you play...
Yeah, but they can break a bone or so, but when they jump over a bunch of rattlesnakes...
It doesn't matter. Gordie Howe's been hurt
isn't it?
probably just as bad as I have.
Yeah.
You don't know that, but you can take it from me. I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to that.
Oh, I'm sure you would certainly know...
He's probably been operated on as much as I have.
Yeah.
So just what I do...
Would you recommend it for young people today, or what do you think about the safety laws of automobiles and bicycles and motorcycles for children? And
you mean would I recommend jumping to them?
Yeah.
If they want to, I would certainly tell them, I think what everybody should tell them in life, that you have to proceed with caution and you cannot take unnecessary chances. I have a son that is 14 years of age. He has ridden a motorcycle for 10 years before I've ever allowed him to jump a motorcycle.
Right.
And I'm saying to children, if they decide that they would like to do what I do or be like Evel Knievel, the best thing for them to do would do what my son has done and ride for 10 years and learn everything you can about it before you ever take a needless chance.
Well, that would be true in basketball or football or anything like you were saying, I guess.
Well, not necessarily basketball or football per se, where you could go out and compete and learn the sport. I'm just saying that anyone can learn to ride a bicycle or a motorcycle, but I don't think that they should try hazardous stunts that would endanger their lives before they have ridden the machine at least 10 years. That's my own opinion. I might be right and I might be wrong, but you asked me for mine, and that's what I've got to tell you.
Well, that's what we want is your opinion. You were saying, though, that you don't take chances, that you're sure of yourself, but you've had a couple problems, like the Kings Island jump, I believe, was a problem, wasn't it? No, that was a successful one, wasn't it?
Successful jump.
Let's look at that one, can we?
Okay.
And then we have a couple more that I think will be fascinating to our TV audience. Here's Evel and Kings Island.
This is a new Formula One stunt car that I have that I ride before I make the jump. And I performed with this at Kings Island before I actually got on the motorcycle and attempted to jump.
When was this, Evel?
This was last year in October. This is just before the takeoff.
What does a machine like this cost?
Well, this machine is not a standard machine. In fact, there are very few of these in the world. This machine's probably worth $10,000. It's very expensive.
And what are you going to jump over now? This is how many?
14 buses.
14 buses.
14 Greyhound buses.
How many people were there to see you, Evel?
I don't know. I was looking at the buses.
I can imagine.
There were many thousands of people there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful spot, the Kings Island spot. And I really thought about retiring after this jump was over, but I went ahead and stayed with it. This is going to be the jump, I think, right now. If you can see there on the ramp that's elevated, I'm really off the ground because the buses are so high. I have to get off the ground to get a run at them. Here comes the takeoff run right here. The motorcycle almost loops clear over backwards on me in the air. I almost lost it.
Oh, what does it feel like when that hits?
It's a hard jolt.
How fast are you going when it hits?
Well, on that jump, I jumped at about 90 miles an hour, but in Seattle, Washington, just 2 weeks ago, I only jumped 7 buses in the Kingdome up there, and I dislocated my shoulder. It just depends on how hard you hit and whether you land on the front wheel or the back wheel, and that was a pretty good jump. It was a lucky jump, but the motorcycle just started to rotate over backwards and went back to our conversation when we were talking about am I going to jump any further? And I told you that I felt that I jumped far enough. As you can see, I think it's going to flop over backwards, and I can't control it. It has no wings like an airplane.
Will you go into a bigger jump in the future? Do you want to make another challenge to yourself? Is it a challenge to yourself that you're challenging, or do you, or what are you?
You know what I've always wanted? I don't know why, but I've always thought a spectacular jump and something that I could really get interested in doing, something that I think would be sensational, is to jump 13 huge sharks in a huge, tremendous pool, say like the length of or the width of a football field, 150 feet across, and jump the sharks. And,
well, that's in your head. I don't know why you would want to do it, but that's you. And,
I love sharks.
Oh, well, I don't know how you can love jumping anything. Like, let's take a look at this Wembley, England one, and give us a little background on this, because this is something to see, this jump. And
this was a jump that I had a bad accident at.
This was not the first accident you've had, though, is it, Evel?
No, this was in Wembley Stadium in London, England, and there were nearly 90,000 people in the stadium, and this is the takeoff and the accident.
Oh, watch.
Now, see, that was only
what happened
over
when you
13
fell off?
buses. Well, it was the gearing on the machine was wrong, so you can see what happens even sometimes when you jump less. If you're really not prepared and you haven't done it right, even though I'm a professional, I try to be right. Even I can make a mistake, and I've done this for years and years and years, so it's a dangerous occupation.
It must be a dangerous occupation. You broke a few bones there, obviously.
I did in London, yes. I broke my back and my pelvis, and I was in the hospital and in bed for about 3 months.
I'm amazed that you can still stand up and walk around.
Oh, I
because
feel
you've
great.
taken a couple of bounds. You must have some great doctors, or a determination that's unbelievable.
I have had some great doctors. I do have a stronger determination probably than anybody in the world. And if you'd left that music on when I was introduced, I'd have danced my way out here.
We'll put some music on and let you dance. We'd love to see you
Bring
do
those
that.
two girls back that were on the show earlier. I'll go ahead.
All right, we have the Snake River jump, which, would this be considered your most famous, or?
It was by far, in my opinion, the most dangerous jump that I ever attempted. And
for a man that doesn't take chances.
I'll never ever do it again, I'll tell you that.
Let's look at it, shall we?
Okay.
Here it comes.
This is the blast off and the countdown right here. I actually made it across the canyon, all the way across, but when the parachute came out, it blew me back towards the river and back into the canyon. And it was a very disappointing thing for me, and I actually thought that I would die because I was tied in the rocket, and if I'd have gone in the river, I would have drowned it. But luckily, I hit the rocks, and it kept me from going in the river. I landed 7.5 feet from the river. It hit the rocks right about here. You can see it's very close to the edge of the water. That's what you call lucky.
Sure is. I understand you're into bicycle safety. That fascinates me.
Well, I think that every child has to learn to play with a little toy and learn something about balance and controlling something, and has to also learn to ride a bicycle before they could ever ride a motorcycle. And I feel that I am involved with the best and the safest bicycle company in the world, an AMF, and they do make an Evel Knievel bicycle, and I try and do everything I can to help promote safety.
Great. We're all for that, and I'm sure our parents are. Would you recommend children? Well, listen, we're going to take a break here, and let's get back into some bicycle safety if we can.
I'd love to.
And because I know you probably know more about the safety hints than anybody alive.
I know the bicycles are very safe. I know that the automobile drivers aren't so safe, and that's why we have to teach kids about bicycle
Good point.
safety.
Let's talk about that, and we'll do it in just a minute. Don't you go away.